So we just had a pretty interesting interview here with Jun Furutani, who is the actual Sparking Zero producer, that highlights some more details about the game. That includes some what ifs, which is pretty insane, and things like that as well. So this is an IGN interview that we're going to be going through here today. And yeah, let's just get straight into the actual interview itself. So IGN said, can you talk a little bit about what it's like creating a story mode for something like Dragon Ball that's so long and has so many sequels, movies, battles, and character plot lines? How do you decide what to focus on, what to cut, and what to lightly gloss over? And then Jun Furutani said here, yeah, so a good way to think about it is this is about the bottom line, which is that in this game's battle game. So in the episode battles that you played earlier, we wanted to focus on which battles highlighted the characters the best in the story. And obviously the side story stuff you can kind of see in the cutscenes as well. So I think a better way of thinking about it is more than fully enjoying the story, we want the players to fully enjoy the best battles in the Dragon Ball franchise. And at the end of the day, that is pretty true. Dragon Ball is completely full of amazing battles. If you guys remember the Majin Vegeta versus Super Saiyan 2 Goku battle, that one was incredible. There's so many really good ones, and I'm glad that they're kind of focusing on this as well. I know a lot of people are a bit disappointed with the cutscenes, or lack thereof, I suppose. Like, it's kind of like a slideshow at some points, but the fact that there's over 180 characters in the game with varying degrees of just like really interesting things and gimmicks to the characters and interactions between them, it is insane, and like it's very mind-blowing. And then additionally, you played the episode battles earlier. We didn't really go into like the branching maps, but we wanted to also focus on battles that could potentially branch out into different things. What if this guy defeated him instead of losing to him, like those kinds of battles? So yeah, that is something that we might put extra focus on the branching fights. And knowing that you can play as, you know, Goku Black for episode battle, Future Trunks, Jiren, Frieza, like there's going to be a ton of very interesting branching battles that I'm very excited to see, and I actually really can't wait to see just things in more detail, especially when this game releases, which is going to be very, very like cool. So I actually wanted to touch upon those branches. Can you go into a little detail about how significant those branches actually go? How much of a different game am I playing if I follow one of those branches versus someone who just followed the canonical story of Dragon Ball? Which is a very good question. Furutani said, so it's a really hard question to answer because depending on which branch we're talking about, it could skew in a completely different direction. But some branches might just go back to the actual canonical route again. So that is pretty interesting, and I think we've all seen this one here is, for example, is a very early example. If you play the Goku episode battles, when you fight Raditz, there's some smaller branches that have been there, but it takes you back to the canonical route. And obviously after Raditz, it's Vegeta, and after Vegeta, it's Frieza. So yeah, some of them are just blips. I guess some of them kind of take you in a more different, very drastically different direction. So I know you probably can't say, but I gotta ask through these what-if scenarios, is there any chance that we could see new fusions born in this game? And then Furutani said, very cool question, hard question to answer. You want to leave the ifs a little hidden for until the game is out. Got it. And then he said, we'll leave it at that for now, which pretty much is like a soft confirmation that there could be what-if fusions in the game, which is pretty insane. And as you know, Dragon Ball fusions had so many different like fusions. You had Broly, Broly, Goku. You also had fusions that almost happened in the Buu saga, the fusion between Goku and Gohan, which would be Gohan, which is actually a pretty damn easy what if to happen, especially in this game. Like, we could easily see a scenario where Gohan actually catches the Potara, the fuse, and then we go from there, which would be absolutely incredible, mind you, because we've all speculated as a community for years as to what could potentially happen there. And then, there's also, Gokul, which is the fusion of Goku and Hercule. You also had like a Tien Goku fusion. There's like so many different fusions that we almost did see, or maybe we could even see a what if where Buhan actually ends up absorbing Vegeta, and then everything goes wrong from there as well. So there's so many different options just there. So I'm really excited to see. I wonder if there'd be like a what if for like Vegeta showing up against Broly and things like that. Like, there's so much that could be done there, which is very, very exciting. Now the next thing is, so I think that one of the things that Tenkaichi fans appreciate most about the series are all the little touches and keen attention to detail. Like some matches have unique dialogue when you start a match between two characters, like certain characters, or the fact that Mr. Satan can't fly, so he uses a jetpack in Tenkaichi 3. Are there any small touches meant specifically for big fans of Dragon Ball that you particularly are proud of in this game? And then Furutani said, yeah, so one of the things that they paid close attention to is how the characters actually move and the expressions that they have. And going deeper into it, you saw the various different versions of Goku that were in the game, and depending on which Goku from which Dragon Ball that you're playing, the way his clothes ripped will be completely different. So I don't know, Frieza, I guess, there's a very distinct way when Goku fights Frieza. There's a very distinct way of how his clothes ripped, and something more recent like Super, there's a very different way that his clothes are ripped there. So very subtle touches like that is something that they paid close attention to, but wanted to keep it as true to the original work as possible. The other thing is like hairstyles as well, subtle differences that the true Dragon Ball fans will notice, which is cool. You mentioned that depending on the character combinations, they have different conversations, but also if you were to throw certain characters with certain characters, there's also a special action that happens in the game. And some of these things obviously come in the form of grabs, like if Goku grabs Fat Buu, you know, he does like a certain animation that references their fight in the Buu saga where he was holding him off, where he's like kind of punching him. And you know, it's really cool that there's small details like that with these different characters, which is just going to be awesome in like online battles when you get those references off, which is going to be really, really cool. Can you talk to me a little bit about the Encyclopedia Mode and just what made you want to include this in the game and what's something that you're particularly fond of with regards to it? So Furutani said here, yes, the Encyclopedia Mode, I guess it may have not been called in Encyclopedia Mode in the past, but there was a mode where Chi-Chi introduces the characters in previous version. But again, we wanted to kind of power that up, as you saw earlier with Videl and Bulma as well. Yeah, pretty much like they're now on a Discord call, just like either roasting or just like talking about the characters, which is going to be interesting, seeing everything that they say about all those different characters and their opinions. So yeah, it's something that we felt that it was something that players enjoyed back then, and obviously would continue to enjoy with the new Sparking Zero. So that is something we want to implement into the game, which is really cool, and I'm glad that they're doing that, because there's going to be so much banter with all these different like characters. I know you guys announced that you're announcing the giant roster of 150 plus characters, but obviously this is an age where there's DLC to keep games going on. Do you have any DLC plans for Sparking Zero? Are there going to be character packs, additional story content, or anything else on the horizon? And Furutani said, so in regards to the characters, they have plans to release 3 DLC packs covering characters from Dragon Ball Super Hero and from Daima. So it's 3 packs total from those two, split into 3 basically, which is going to be interesting because, you know, we're going to get Beast Gohan, the Gammas, probably Orange Piccolo with his, you know, hidden potential transformation, or his ultimate, you know, form, whatever you want to call it. You know, Cell Max, which is going to be a giant character, which will be really cool. Probably like alternate skins for like Android 18 and Krillin. Stuff like that will be really, really cool to see as well, which I'm really excited for. And then I know it's thinking maybe too far ahead, but I just want to get your thought on it. There's a lot of cool characters in the Dragon Ball Super manga right now that I think a lot of fans would love to see, like Granola and Moro. Are those characters that are on your radar, or would you like to touch upon characters in the manga that haven't gotten to appear in anime yet? And this is a pretty touchy topic because obviously there's some weird rights and things going on here. So Furutani said at this point, the short answer is it's difficult for him to talk about these things. Yeah, due to various situations, I'm sure you understand. So can't really comment on it because it's a very wonky situation. Like, we haven't seen anything of these characters used in Xenoverse. It's always up to really modders to bring these characters in. So if you're expecting, you know, like Moro or Ultra Ego Vegeta, you're just gonna have to wait for modders to kind of add them. So just wait for the PC version and then wait for modders to kind of mod that in, because I don't think we'll be seeing those characters for a long time. So talk to me about the stage of Sparking Zero. Do you know how many will be in the game, and are there any unique elements of them individually? And then Furutani says this right now, there's 12 stages in the game. That may or may not change in the future, but there's tons of gimmicks per stage. For example, if we're fighting on planet Manu, if we're to use a strong move going down from the sky and you happen to hit the planet, you will see a change into when Frieza is fighting Goku towards the end of that saga. I guess planet Namek is what they're really saying here. Pretty sure you recognize what I'm talking about. Another one that we could bring up is the Tenkaichi stage, where we have fans watching from the outside. In the very beginning, you could only really fight in the arena or area where you're supposed to fight, but for example, if someone uses a skill that goes into the bleachers, the people who are watching will run away, and then it expands the stage, which is really cool. And if you're playing as an android character, you could potentially get blasted away, kind of sneak up to your enemy and do a sneak attack on them. Yeah, another thing, I think I kind of mentioned this to you when you were playing, but you're able to lose sight of your enemy. You're not always constantly locked onto them. That's kind of by design, but because if you do a big move and you blast them far away, you're not going to be able to find them right away. Especially if you're an android that has no key power and you're able to detect them. So that's in the game. That's all in the game, which is really, really cool. You could potentially get blasted away as an android character and sneak up to your enemy, which is canonical. The androids actually do that against Vegeta. There's another thing that we want you to look out for, and obviously going back to your question, you were asking about stages. There's tons of objects in the map, so you can kind of use them to kind of line of sight yourself away from your enemies as well. That's something we want players to experience with, and you got a first-hand experience as well. That's so cool. And then another thing he wants our fans to try it is, you know how in Dragon Ball when you're using a skill and you're charging, you see all this dust fall up in the air, and sometimes characters in the show come out of that dust and perform an attack. That's something they have also on as well. So there's ways to combat this dust from going up, or you could purposely kind of get the dust to fly out more, so you create a wall that makes it harder for the enemy to see you. That's something we want the players to check out as well, which is pretty cool. Then you've also got crossplay, which is kind of talked about here for a second. Crossplay is something that I believe is currently planned. If it is, please correct me, but can you talk a little bit about what the challenges are with regards to including crossplay in this game, and is it something that you hope to include post-launch? Furutani says it's one of those touchy subjects that's very difficult for him to explain. Short professional answer is, yeah, there's difficulties that we have to go through to get crossplay to work. So yeah, that's where we stand right now. And for a question about the future, we don't know yet, but yeah. So there could be, they could add this, they could not add this. There's obviously like so much to crossplay, but hopefully they do. We just have to keep asking and bringing it up, because obviously the community kind of wants to see that. So we just kind of gotta keep asking for it, I guess. Speaking of single player content, you have the episode battle, but what else is there for single players after they complete the campaign? Is there any kind of challenges or rewards awaiting those who want to keep playing Sparking Zero after finishing the story, but maybe don't want to go online and play other people? One of the features that play, like you mentioned earlier, would probably partake is in the custom battles. Obviously that's the mode where people could go in, create their own custom battles, and either share them or play them for themselves. So yeah, what you could potentially do is make a really hard custom battle and try and clear it for yourself, and after that you could share it. Or maybe if you want to try what other players are making as well, you could go search for what other players have made. That could use the tags to indicate what kind of battle it is, so you could search in the game by tags, which is pretty cool. And obviously indicated by this is you can't just create an incredibly impossible custom battle and then upload it. You actually have to clear it first before you're able to upload it, so that's pretty interesting then. Make a really hard stage, clear it, and it's kind of a way of showing off to the other players. So yeah, so I mean there's thousands, I mean not thousands, but it's pretty limitless in terms of what you could play after clearing the episode battles. So the requirements for uploading custom battles that you need to be able to clear it, so you can't just set impossible demands to the players if you can and upload and be like, hey guys, try to clear it. The flip side of that is like, okay, you made a really hard stage, you clear it, and it's kind of a way of showing off to other players like, hey, check this out, man, super crazy custom battle and I cleared it, what's up? So this was a really cool interview here by IGN. We've got lots of insights about, you know, stages, different potential characters, obviously also, you know, what ifs that could happen, which is really exciting. There's lots of good juicy stuff in here that I think you guys will really enjoy. So, you know, check out another video here as well. Let me know what you think of this. Have an absolute wonderful day. Peace.